And nobody in all three of the questionable deaths of these 18-year-old young black kids, nobody has been held accountable in any way.
Hey guys, it is the Unfiltered Journey here, and today's video is going to be on a very important subject, and it's going to be about how older people in the black community need to make sure they are teaching their children about their history, about where our ancestors has brought us from, about how we still have a long way to go when it comes to racism. I know a lot of people like to say racism, anybody can be racist, and racism is something in the past. Racism is not something in the past. Racism is still alive and well today. And racism is something that black people cannot be. Okay? I'm not going to argue with you back and forth. It's not going to change my opinion. I'm going to say what I say, and nothing you can say will change my opinion about this. Black people can be prejudiced, but they cannot be racist. And what I've noticed about the dictionary is they have changed the definition of racism because it makes it seem like anyone can be racist when they cannot. The only way you can be racist is if you have the power to keep another group down from progressing to be on the same level as you or any higher than you. Black people do not have that power, which is why we cannot be racist, okay? Once again, black people can be prejudiced, but they cannot be racist because they don't have the systematic structure to be racist, okay? And it's very imperative to make sure that black parents teach their black kids about that. Do not adopt the fact that saying that black people can be racist, because we can't, okay? And I'm not taking away any accountability because, like I stated earlier, we definitely can be prejudiced. We just can't be racist, okay? And we have to make sure we are not losing our history and where our ancestors has brought us from, because when we do, these are the stories that we are seeing very, very prevalent in our news lately. Let's go ahead and listen to Ben Crump with the press conference with the National Urban League. Shout out to Associated Press. Let's get into this.
And nobody in all three of the questionable deaths of these 18-year-old young black kids, nobody has been held accountable in any way. And so that's why we're here, saying that we are not deterred. We're not going to let you sweep it under the rug. We're going to get to the answers of what happened to Nolan Wells, what happened to Daniel Irvin, and what happened to Tyler Smith, three 18-year-old black boys in a 3-month period around 4th of July, 2026, who all were unalive in very similar ways as Nolan Wells.
I don't know about you, but I find that extremely, extremely attention grabbing. Just like Ben Crump just stated, all three of those cases happened around the same time and around the same way. And that is just these three stories. They have actually been other stories as well that has not been getting the media attention as these stories. And Daniel Irvin and Tyler Smith are ones that has not been getting as much attention as Nolan Wells' story, which is why Ben Crump has, decided to come together and try to bring more attention to their story as well. But it's just so sad, and this is something that we have to take serious, because these black men, these young black men that had very promising futures, was taken away, and the law does not see them as people, see them as humans enough to take their cases serious. And make sure they are turning over every rock they can, because of, whether you want to admit it or not, systematic racism. And this is the reason why I say black people cannot be racist. Because if the shoe is on the other foot, and if you've seen my previous video, I've showed you the data. It's not just something that I'm saying, it's the data is there, the proof is there, the statistics are there, that black and brown people do not get the attention of Caucasian people. You don't get mad at me, get mad at the system. And if you feel some type of way and you're not a black or brown person and you feel some type of way about me saying that, that's something that you should check within yourself. That's something that you need to evaluate within yourself. Like, you need to do some soul searching. Like, why do I feel some type of way about her saying this? Because it probably means you have a little bit of racism in you. And I don't even know if I can say a little bit. You might be racist without even knowing it. You might be racist.
And I'm very thankful to his parents for using the attention that they were given and blessed with to also give attention to these other 18-year-old black boys. Thank you, Christine. Thank you so much, Elmore.
Okay, I'm going to skip some of these parts because I'm not going to listen to the entire press conference again, but I do want to point out some very powerful testimonies or speeches from these families. One that really stuck out to me was the grandmother of Tyler Smith. When I say she came with some powerful words, very powerful words, and I think this needs to be the root of what we need to be teaching our children. Not teaching our children hate, but teaching our children where we come from. Because when you think about it, every black person can be, if you look at your history and your ancestry, you can be tied back to slavery, right? Well, that can go the same with Caucasian people. Caucasian people can, if you check their ancestry, it's going to be somewhere where they have been attached to slave owners, okay? And with that being said, that mindset does not just go away overnight. That thing trickles down and it is still alive and well. And I know you want to see the best in people. You think, everybody has your best interests at heart and everybody are good, but that is not reality. It's just not reality. And I hate to say it, but white supremacist is still alive and well. So how do you think that these things are being taught? These things are being taught to trickle down in the family, in the bloodline. So I think it's a huge disservice to sit around and to think that, oh, I don't see color or I'm colorblind. That is not a good way to be. It's very harmful to be, because you have to know in the back of your head, you have to keep it on the back of your head. Look at how someone's actions, look at what they say, look at what they do, and you judge them from that point. But you always keep that in the back of your head, because it is a real thing and it could be life saving. Okay? And I think if you're not teaching your kids this, they can be taught anything. Okay? You have to know where you come from to know where you're going, is what my mom says. Okay? You have to know where you've been to know where you're going. And it's not saying that you're hating anyone. You just need to be very cautious, very observant, and teach your children the same way. It just is what it is. I want to listen to the grandmother, because when I say this lady really hit home for me, her speech was amazing.
And the final family you will hear from is going to be the family of Tyler Smith, who many of you haven't heard of at all. And I want to have his family, who drove from Lexington, Kentucky to the National Urban League Convention, to say that Tyler Smith, life matters too. Y'all, please give him a round of applause. Tyler Smith, life matters. Tyler Smith, life matters. Tyler Smith, life matters.
I want to thank everyone for showing up today, supporting all these families. I was asked many times, who is Tyler? What does Tyler mean to you? And I had to take a deep dive into that because to give a few words wouldn't be justice. So I went into my prayer closet, as most nanas do, because see, Tyler calls me name. And when people ask me to tell them, I find a struggle in finding words big enough to describe who he is. Tyler is charismatic. He's warmth. Tyler is love. Tyler is compassion and tolerance. Tyler is focus and determination. Tyler is an entrepreneur with dreams, goals, and a vision for his future. Tyler is a calming presence, a peacemaker, and a source of comfort to those around him. Tyler is that warm piece of cake straight out of the oven, that soft buttermilk biscuit that the butter glides across the top. Tyler is the depth of a baby's laughter and the warmth of a grandmother's hug. Tyler is what many people spend a lifetime searching for, but never fully find: a genuine soul with a kind heart and a beautiful spirit. For me, Tyler is much more than all of those things. He's my motivation, my determination, the wind beneath my wings. Even in his absence, he continues to give me strength. He has become a part of the reason I stand, the part of the reason that I keep moving forward.
Look at the hurt in this family's face. Look at the words that this grandma is saying about her grandson. And the thing about that really hits home for me is that the system does not see these boys like Tyler Smith, Daniel Irving as human beings. They disregard their life like it's nothing. That's why they don't do the investigation thoroughly. They take the word of the perpetrator as its Bible instead of doing a thorough investigation like they would do their own if something happened to their own. This is the most devastating part. This is the hurt that so many Black families go through when things like this happen. And when you don't walk a mile in the shoes of a Black person, it's easy for you to say, oh, they're making it about race, they're complaining. No, if the system did what it needed to do and gave everybody a fair, just in the system, a fair due, we would not have this. But because the system was built from racism, it's the reason why it's Black lives are disregarded as property. Because let's be real, when the Constitution was created, Black people were considered property. Property. Do you like not a human being, but property, like our car, our house, like a thing. We were considered things. So that's where, and because I'm so in depth in history, and my family, my mom, my dad, they instilled into me where our ancestors brought us from. Because when you think about it, slavery wasn't that long ago, and when slavery ended, it didn't disappear overnight. We are still dealing with the residuals from slavery, which is, I think it's so weird when someone tells a Black person to get over it when we have residual mental, distress from our ancestors being in bondage and slavery. So to tell us to get over it is insanity. That just shows me that those type of people, they have no empathy. You can't tell somebody to get over something where they were eaten, they were beaten, They were hung. They were cut apart. They were worked to death without any pay. And you tell somebody to get over it because it wasn't you. It wasn't your ancestors who went through it. Not to that degree. So this just touched my heart. The hurt in this family's face is just devastating to me. The words that this grandmother is speaking touch me. It pierced my heart because I know the system does not see her grandson like that. The way she sees her grandson, the way that she's speaking about her grandson, and I'm feeling every word. The system does not care, does not feel this way, because if they did, these three families wouldn't be up here. But let's continue to hear this powerful speech from the grandmother of Tyler Smith.
When I received that call at 6 a.m. that morning that my grandson had been involved in a shooting, I thought, okay, hand, foot. And I arrived upon the scene of the hospital and found out that this was a gunshot wound to the head. Again, I'm a praying mother. I have a son who a year ago had a near fatal car accident. I know what God can do. You can't tell me what God can do. I've seen it. I watch it every day. I watch him learn how to walk and talk. And I comforted his grandfather and said, don't worry about this. We've already been through this fire. It'll be okay. When the physician came out and pronounced my grandson, and she stated, self-inflicted, accidental, I told her, you're a liar, and there is no truth in it. I explained to her immediately. I said, how do you have this evidence for you to know this? She said, because they said. I said, they said? She said, yes. As days progressed, my family and I began to move forward. We got none effort, energy at all from the Lexington-Fayette County Police Department. We were told that we needed to accept accidental, self-inflicted. They offered no traces of gun residue, even though I called the coroner's office and the police department. And I begged and pleaded, please, bag his hands. No child, and I say child because it's relative, no one was searched on the scene. They took an investigation as a total from all 5 of these young people and said,
the fact that they said, these people said, oh, it was an accident, and they took their word as face value without doing an investigation, shows that this is a 2-tier justice system. And if you don't believe it, the facts are right in front of you. Yes, if you're telling me that it's an accident, thank you for telling us that, but we are also going to do an investigation, and we are going to let the evidence tell us that it's an accident. But no, because these people were Caucasian, they took their word as facts, as open, closed case. That's what they said. That's what it is. But if it was a black person and the black person said, oh yeah, it was an accident, you better bet your bottom dollar there would have been a thorough investigation. A thorough investigation. And then on top of that, even if the evidence did show it was an accident, if they felt like they should serve time, there's going to be a miraculous thing that the black person get locked up for. It is what it is. And if people don't bring it to the forefront, it is never going to change. You have to face it straight on. You cannot hide the fact. And because you are, bringing up the facts with statistics, and someone calls you racist, it's because they're gaslighting you. They don't want you to bring the truth up because they want to be racist in peace. They want the system to stay as it is without being bothered.
They said this is what happened. I ask for gun residue on anyone. The answer that I was given, well, there's no need to bag his hands. Everyone in this room would have gun residue on them. That was their excuse to me.
Which is not true. That is such a lie. Everyone would not have gun residue on them. Whoever shot the gun is going to have gun residue on them. They talk to Black people like we're not educated at all. Like we literally live under a rock. It makes me very, very, very heated around the collars to hear this tomfoolery.
Moved my grandson in an expedient manner, not to our local coroner's office, but to the state capitol, which I was told wouldn't happen until that following Monday. Miraculously, in 2 hours, he was on his way to the medical examiner in the capitol. On Monday morning at 10 a.m., they came back and told me again, accidental, self-inflicted. For 17 days, my sons and I worked tirelessly, investigating everything on our own. The police department gave us nothing, absolutely nothing. They treated me as if I were a pirate, asking all the wrong questions. Why do you need to know? We've handed you that carrot already. Take a bite. Settle down. It's accidental, self-inflicted.
And why should this family, which is a reality, it is what it is. It's a reality when Black people have to fight for justice. They have to take the lead in finding the answers for their loved ones because the system is not going to do it until they are pressured to do it and they have no other way but to face it. But if you take their word and just let it go, you will never get answers. And this family has fought and fought and fought, and they're still fighting to get, some type of answers to what really happened to their child and grandchild.
As I talked to the police chief, I explained to him, he said, well, what do you want from this? What are you looking for?
The truth. An investigation for you to do your job. That's what she wants. She wants you to do your job. Not just take the perpetrator's word, but actually do an investigation. Do what you're paid to do. That's what she wants. How is that too hard for you to understand? Literally, they did not do an investigation. They literally took the words of the other people, made sure the medical examiner aligned with what the other people said, and kept it moving.
I said, what would you be looking for?
Exactly.
I want transparency. I want you to simply do the job that you were paid to do. My family never asked you for a bird either. We just asked you to earn the paycheck that you either receive this week or the next. We ask you to simply, the same way you go into our Black and brown neighborhoods and you can investigate and you can interrogate and you can charge, give us the same respect. Tyler is loved. He's loved. But most importantly, Tyler calls her mama. Tyler calls me Pepper. That's my baby, Pepper. He's my baby. It will be my dying breath to say his name. No stone will go unturned. I'm not afraid to go to hell and sit with the devil.
Listen, that grandmother said she's not afraid to go to hell and sit with the devil over hers. That's a grandmother love. And that's the thing, they don't realize, because they are so desensitized to Black people and thinking that we are property, they don't even know that our people love us. Our people don't see us as property. We are somebody. We're somebody's son, daughter, aunt, uncle, father, mother, grandmother. We are these things. We are not property. But this grandmother went off. Do you see me? You can't see me, but like you see her, she went off.